Great. Yes, Greg, thanks for joining us today and sharing your experience working with us. To kick off, could you briefly introduce yourself and tell a little bit more about your company?
Sure. My name is Craig Lamb. I am a partner at Envative. We're a software company. We've been in business 27 years, and we're out of Rochester, New York. We are a custom development agency, and we get involved in everything from IoT, web applications, mobile applications, a lot of AI now. And yeah, I mean, 30 people, like I said, in the US. Any more details than that?
Nice. No, that's really good. And can you describe the main challenges that you were facing before you started working with us?
Sure. So, largely because our projects are very complex and
Hmm.
they're highly visible, a lot of our business development efforts would be like planting seeds and then staying in communication, building that trust. And, 27 years ago, you pick up the phone, you could have an email, you might even go to meet somebody face to face and stuff like that. But now the trajectory and speed by which you have to do business development has changed.
Yeah.
I'm 50. You're in your 20s. It's really more tuned for guys like you than it is for me. So I had to learn a new way.
Hmm.
I used to have a mapped out process where I'd be like, I will research this company. Pick up the phone. I will send two emails just to establish some rapport. So when they are in the market for building something, I've reached out to we had a persona, like a buyer's persona. We'd reach out to
Hmm.
that person, but that's not how people were responding anymore. So David found you guys, and I really just liked the vibe of like let's try a bunch of different stuff in modern communication channels. So it was really about old dog learning some new tricks. That's
Hmm.
what we came up with.
What have you tried before because like you were doing a lot yourself, have you tried other things before as well?
Yeah, sure. I mean, listen, we've had some people come and go in business development. They
Hmm.
came with their own ideas, right? So we switched to some paper outreach stuff. We did the conference journey, like going from conference to conference to try to glad in. Did some speaking engagements at like some text exposes, and it was fine. And what it did was just grow our mailing list, but it wasn't changing how we did stuff. So the ideas that we had were like, well, how do you make your list bigger? We're like,
Hmm.
okay, yeah, you've made our list bigger, but you haven't made our list better, So and I'm seeing a marked improvement now,
Hmm.
but yeah, I'm sure we've tried lots of stuff. I'm sure like everybody else.
Right. And what were like the initial expectations that you had before you decided to start working with us?
Well, my expectations were like, so my partner David, who runs the engineering floor, is different from mine, where I have to do a lot of the outreach. Is that you know I set the expectation like, well, okay, we're going to consult with another company, and he's thinking like, oh, we're going to get some of these new leads like in a week. It's like that's not how it works. People are not going to part with $500,000 because someone writes a better email than me,
Hmm.
right? It's really about just fostering that relationship a bit differently. So my expectation was like, well, I'd like to have an easier road to say hello, introduce the company, introduce the services, rather than something completely cold, right? So
Hmm.
like a cold email right now, as far as I'm concerned, you might as well use it as like like right to the trash. So
Yeah.
there's messaging techniques that I had not learned yet, but I'm like, oh, my expectation is I'm going to learn some of these new techniques because if you're doing outreach every day, and we're doing basically client management handling, project management handling, you're going to be better at it blinked than Envative is. So I
Hmm.
was all open ears. So my expectations weren't like I'm going to get a client tomorrow, but my expectations were we're going to learn a better way, a modern way,
Yeah.
and I think we're heading in that road.
Yeah, it's changing a lot. It's like from cold outreach more towards like warm introductions and relationship building way of selling instead of like the other way of selling where it's just like one email and someone expects to have one client right off the bat, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, like so, Wes, I told you before, it's interesting. It's like I've had relationships with companies where I met somebody at either like an expo or like we got referred through somebody else. We have a conversation with them. We do one small project. Then 5 years later, that same CIO picks up the phone and says, Craig, I need help, because we've already established trust. They're
Yeah.
like, and those are great. And they keep the business rolling and everything like that. But what's happening is because less and less people are getting out and shaking hands face to face. Less people are responding to emails with any kind of suspended disbelief that the company that's reaching out to them is legit and
Hmm.
qualified. It's like there has to be new ways to get to the point where now when I email somebody, because of the work you've done with Blink, is that they're likely to reply even if that email didn't really have anything to do with the sales process they were
Yeah.
doing. So
Yeah. And what has been the result so far, since we started working together?
well, we've tried a few things, right? So the current one where we're reaching out to an avatar, a buyer persona that really kind of fits the trends that not only Envative but like the industrial landscape of the states, of where companies are at crossroads with technologies, right? So logistics,
Hmm.
manufacturing, healthcare, things like that. Well, we're targeting those and we're pulling them in podcasts to hear their stories. And on those technical journeys, a lot of the times is that there's gaps, there's holes that Envative could fill. So we focus on them first, of course, establish that rapport, get to know the company legitimately, and see if it is something that we can help with, and then
Hmm.
move on to make an introduction and say our services could help you here, here, and here.
Yeah. And is there like any quantifiable results that we can put into that as well?
Well, listen, I wasn't prepared to do any math on this call, but I can tell you that the number of invitations that are being received is going up week after week. The conversations that we're having, even post podcast, are going up week after week. We're going to
Hmm.
work with like to kind of refine that post
Yeah.
podcast kind of like conversion stuff, but the numbers keep going up, and even the work that we've been advised to do on LinkedIn and changing profile information and some posting content that you guys are helping with has had a marked improvement on just
Hmm.
that kind of traffic. And although I'm not really big on social media, including LinkedIn, I can see where like a lot of people use that to legitimize something.
Yeah.
Like if you could see it on LinkedIn, no one would, not say something publicly on that kind of forum if it weren't true. I
Hmm.
feel like that's the kind of how people are vibing with LinkedIn. So it's all helped.
Yeah, yeah, and it's also like a good way to, because there's a lot of people that we talk to that have, for example, have NDAs or can't share case studies or work that they have done. It's a really good way to still kind of share your expertise and share like what you know within the industry that you have without even having to share a certain case study or build rapport with something like that.
Yeah, we have the same thing, and with a lot of our clients, because our clients that are building products, they don't want to say like Envative built this, right?
Hmm. Yeah,
So we just talk about industry stuff where you could be specific in the solution, but really vague in who had the problem.
yeah,
And it serves the same goal. It's like if you go, oh look, I have to lose weight. You didn't call Craig fat. You just go, you're like, I have to lose weight too. And then you go, this is what I did, and so you
yeah.
can legitimize it without embarrassing Craig, right? It's all in messaging. So.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And like what in regards to the aspects of our shows, because like we do a lot of different things for you guys, what has been the most valuable for you guys so far?
Well, I would tell you, I personally really appreciate the consulting stuff as we're going along the way. Look, you and I have been working together pretty closely for like 8 9 months or something like that. It was like
Yeah.
something like that. Where David was first, and then I came to the party, and then I started listening to stuff. We've tried a bunch of stuff, and I didn't always agree with you, but then I'd be like, all right, let's do it anyway. And then it turned out that it did work a little bit. So
Hmm.
well, not a little bit. It moved me. Like I think once I subscribed to what you were saying and I believed it, then we started getting more results. If I was
Hmm.
resistant out of the gate, it was slower, and then I'm like, oh, it is working, and then I'd have to convert rather than
Yeah.
say, all right, let's give Wesley a break and just go. If he wants to do it, let's do it. Well, we just had that talk, right? I said, if you want to do it, we're going to do it,
Yeah.
which I think will accelerate the plan. But I, I think what I've grown to appreciate is in the consultancy to be less resistant to say,
Hmm.
oh, that won't work because either the way I did it didn't work or because your method puts me in a state where it's like, well, we wouldn't normally do that, you
Yeah.
know? So,
Yeah, it gets you in a new kind of way of thinking and gets you out of like your comfort zone or your the box that you've always been working and thinking in, right?
well, and the other thing is too is like, what's the downside? If it doesn't work,
Yeah.
it's already not working. So you're
Hmm.
just in the same state. But if it does work and you're improving, so the only way to go is up, right? So it's like
Hmm.
it just seems kind of foolish not to. Even if someone I just don't like, look, I never saw myself as a podcast host. It's like,
Hmm.
but I'm doing it. A couple of them have been fun, you know.
Hmm.
A couple of them have been stinkers, but you know, what are you going to do? It's like
Yeah. Yeah. And how do you feel about the support and communication? Because you just mentioned a bit about like the
oh,
consultative approach that we
you guys over
have.
support. You guys over support. You, like, I don't mean it in a bad way. It's like make sure you rate this opportunity so we can get some feedback. Can you please respond? We've done A, B, and C. Can you respond with some feedback? It's like listen, I'm always like you guys are chasing me, not me chasing you, which is amazing as far as customer service, and that's legit, man. I don't know how you guys do it. I don't know how much is automated and how much you guys are outreach, but the team that I work with, I get hit on Slack. It's like check this, check this, check this, feedback here, feedback here. So I don't know. Maybe that's a cultural thing. Maybe that's because you guys are
Hmm.
Danish. I don't know, it's still. It's like I don't. I never feel ignored or
Okay, that's really good because that's one of the things that we want as well. Like we only are able to kind of get an actual partnership built if we're involved with you guys as well, and like the other way around, right? So like that's the main thing that we kind of want to focus on as well. Is there like with that, if you could highlight one thing that really stands out from working with us, what would that be?
if I could pick one thing that stands out. I don't know how to phrase this properly, but I have to tell a little bit of a story to answer it, but because I think it's the simple is old versus new, right?
Hmm.
And it's almost like um, just like technology. It's like so when I got out of engineering school, the web had just started, right? And we were uh, the outlaws. So it's like we're building for the web. We're doing like the web didn't exist, and that feeling of like we know where we're going. It's like
Hmm.
and that was back in 1997. Um, that feeling quickly turned into now we're a 27, 28-year-old company where I got stuck in this thing where you guys came out and said, "Hey, we respect how you got here, but if you want to continue to grow today, this is the way." So now I'm in the old way of thinking, that old technology
Yeah.
way of thinking. I'm the old guy that we were serving in 1997 and 98, which
Hmm.
I'm cool with. But it's like that turning the page. So what I appreciate the most is that you guys are, you have a younger perspective. You're tuned into communication channels that are being used today that I'm not ignoring. I'm just not schooled in. So it's
Hmm.
like, so getting that kind of that influx of modern and innovative thinking is the thing I
Hmm.
most appreciate.
Okay. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you can
Yeah.
also imagine too, Wes. It's like when you own a company, and when we get we hire somebody in business development. They're like, well, what do you think? It's like, well, whatever you think, I think, because I want to keep my job. It's like when with consultants, one of the things that about being a consultant, which I like too, is that part of your job is to push back. It's to say,
Hmm.
I hear you, but we're not going to do that. We're going to do this. We're going to give this a go. So that dynamic is much different, which I prefer. I prefer to have a consultant because I want to be spoken to in reality. I don't want someone who's going to be placating me because they're an employee and say, "No,
Hmm.
this is going great. This is going. It's not going great." You
Yeah.
know. So
Yeah, it's the only way that you could kind of make it work, right? Like if we always follow what our clients do and stuff like that, like they haven't been able to sort it, so why would we run the same path that they were on because they haven't been able to get it fixed?
right. Yeah, you
Yeah,
can run on a
yeah,
treadmill faster, but you're still not
yeah.
going anywhere.
You're still not going anywhere. Yeah, true, true. Like, what has been your experience? Because like we have introduced like the podcast method, which we call the growth chat strategy. What has been
Mhm.
your experience with like that strategy that we recently implemented with you guys?
Like what's been my experience with the podcasting specifically?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, so like I told you, I was resist. I didn't resist. You know, I said yes, but I was just like, geez, am I going to be? Remember I said, am I going to be a guest or am I going to be a host? And you're like, you'd be a host. I was like, oh, geez. So I got to talk to all these people. And I remember being like, I never really saw myself in that position. But what happened is that once I did a couple, there is a curiosity that happens all on its own, right? It's like they want to share their story. And when you're hearing it, you can actually, if you're in the world of solving whatever it is that they have, you can start to see like, oh, did you try this or this or this or this? And like that bond is formed over the course of that
Hmm.
podcast. I think the thing about saying podcast, at least for me, saying podcast and it being published and distributed, you're like, is it good? Is it whatever? But I have to tell you, man, if the content, the questions, and the answers are riveting, industrially, or like as far as the industry is concerned, like relevant and riveting, no one cares. It's like, oh, I
Hmm.
have a problem like that. You know what I mean? It's like no one
Yeah.
would care if you had to like listen closely because there was static if the answer was like really important to you. You know what I mean? So my experience has been that it's not as it's not as difficult as I thought it was going to be. It's more fun
Hmm.
than I thought it was going to be. I'm still working on stuff like production and lighting and stuff like that because we're doing more of them. But overall, I think it's been effective and fun.
Great. And like the quality of the people that you're talking to, because like of course we have a kind of whole workflow with that. What has been the quality of the prospects and the conversations that you've had due to the strategy?
Well, as you know, when they started out, we were kind of hit and miss, right? So
Hmm.
when we were doing podcasts, we get people to reply that really just wanted to be on a podcast, but they weren't qualified as decision makers and buyers and things like that. But when we started to tighten that up with we
Hmm.
did like a pre-qualification form, right? Asking people if they're part of decision teams, and that made a real difference. So the quality has improved 10 times from when we first started because, and I think that we should probably accept some responsibility for that too, is that it's not like you guys didn't ask. It's like, what's this buyer look like? And I was like, well, the
Hmm.
buyer has a lot of different faces and names and titles, but we were able to get it down to like an attitude. It's like if you say to somebody, who makes the decisions there? And if you do, you go, I do. It's more of an attitude versus like, well, sometimes I do, but most of the time I have to ask so and so. That means you don't make the decision, so and so does. And that
Yeah.
form helped us kind of figure out who that person was. And that helped a lot.
Yeah, I like did it because you just mentioned that it was a little bit new and like you were not holding back on it, but it was a different kind of approach. Did it like essentially exceed your expectations?
Well, listen, dude, it's difficult for me to say exceeded my expectations because I didn't have any.
Mm,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? It's like so it's difficult to put it on a margin where it's like I thought this was going to happen and this happened. Wow, right? So we're still working with that strategy, and the responses have gotten better and better and better. I would I think once I start seeing what the conversions of those look like, because we're having more conversations, then I could probably answer that question for you.
Yeah.
But like I would say this for someone who does have expectations, has either done a podcast before or whatever, and it didn't work for them. Listen to you guys, and then they would have a baseline to say it's better or worse. I didn't have a baseline. Like it's not something that we had done before. But I will
Hmm.
tell you, my expectations have been exceeded as far as it working at all. Whereas like, what are we going to do about getting people on the podcast? I think I've written in my notes for the follow ups is that This person's qualified. This person's qualified. This person's qualified consistently. So I'm pleased, but I didn't have expectations to be, met or not met.
Yeah, yeah, true. And so like so far, would you because we've been in a partnership for like 8, 9 months, something like that right now, would you
Mhm.
recommend others to partner with us if they're facing similar challenges as that you guys have had?
Yeah, for
And if
sure.
so, what is the reason?
Well, I would absolutely refer you, and give my endorsement for anybody that wanted to get involved with you. I feel like you guys probably have the same experience with a client over and over and over again. They come in with a bunch of ideas and say, "We do it this way," and you have to politely nod and say, "Sure, sure, sure. We'd like you to try this, this, and this." They go, "That won't work," and you go, "Well, let's give it a go." And you've burned 3 months. Because just like with us, right? You burn 3 months trying to go, will you just let us do our jobs? You know what I mean? So my only advice would be for an onboarding client is shut up, listen, and give it a go. Because in hindsight, I think we wasted a couple months, me being resistant and showing, like trying to explain to you what we've been doing, where it's like, which is important, right? You culturally, you want to understand the
Yeah.
company. But at the same time, it's like, we're going to try these things based on what you've told me about your culture, your messaging, or whatever, and don't be resistant. That would be my,
Right.
that would be my advice.
I think we should introduce you to every single onboarding that we have.
Oh, really?
Yes, it's the same
Yeah.
thing over and over and over again.
Well, it seems silly, but I get it, but it's a shame because there's just so much time is
Yeah.
lost.
Yeah, 100%. Great, Greg. Thanks for sharing your experience. I'm
You
happy
bet.
to work together and let's get some solid results in the future together as well.
You got it.